Yeah, hi everyone. It's a pleasure to have you all here. Thank you very much. Thank you Delph as well and Cyberport for organizing all of this. Today we're going to take this time to kind of talk a little bit in depth around sort of how sports and esports are intersecting, and obviously with one of the world's largest, or maybe the largest football club in the world with PSG. So I'd like to introduce the panel with me today. We've got Yassine, who heads up the esports division at PSG, and also Ringo, who heads up the business development side here at Talon. So before we get started, perhaps Yassine and Ringo, you guys want to just give a brief introduction about yourselves, what you do and what you've done in the past, and I think then we can kick off with the presentation and go through some details. Yeah. So Yassine, maybe you want to go first?
Sure, thanks Sean, and thanks Cyberport for the invitation. So as you said, I'm the Chief Gaming Officer for Paris Saint-Germain. I'm basically just in charge of the esports strategy over the short, mid, and long term, helping them to hire players, teams, and also coordinate all the different partnerships we have. And one of them is with you guys at Talon Esports. And as PSG Esports is quite big right now, we do have like players and teams all around the world. The PSG Talon one in Hong Kong, of course, but then we have two in China, both house in Singapore. We do have FIFA players in Europe, France, and yeah, that's my intro to you, Ringo.
Perfect. Yeah, hi everyone. Really happy to be speaking to you all. So a little bit about myself. I'm head of BD at Talon, which essentially means that I am responsible for connecting Talon with kind of our partners and our brands, and I oversee that whole process from kind of outreach through to kind of the account management side. Prior to joining Talon, I was BD manager for FC Barcelona in Hong Kong and Southeast Asia. So I guess relevant to today's conversation, I've also come from the traditional sports world and then into this new, crazy, exciting world of gaming as well.
Cool. Yeah, let's get started with the presentation now. So just to go through a rough agenda of what we're going to be talking about today for everyone is firstly, how this partnership came about and what exactly that we're doing with it. Then we'll talk a little bit about the sort of co-branding, the marketing opportunities that we're working on. Furthermore to that, sort of the merchandise things that we're doing with PSG, some of the business corporations as well, and also performance management. So just to give you guys an in-depth breakdown of sort of how we are working with PSG and all the different components and layers of that. So let's get started with that. So firstly, I guess in regards to what our vision is with PSG Talon, I mean, our main objective is to leverage, two major brands within both traditional sport and in esports to build a League of Legends dynasty. So, when we first met with PSG, our objectives remain the same. We want to win an MSI, we want to win a world championship in the next 5 years, and also dominate domestically. And that's something that, from a value perspective, that was fully aligned with PSG when we first met with Yassine, is that very motivated to win, very motivated to make sure that we're winning off the pitch and on the pitch to deliver those values. And so just the second part of that is who we are. I mean, it's the partnership between PSG, which is one of the world's largest football clubs, and Talon. And it's the formation of a team within the PCS. And so just to give a bit of context, the PCS is a league that is run for League of Legends for Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Southeast Asia. So that's kind of the formation of that. So as we talk about this, Yassine, I just wanted to run a question past you guys. So, when you guys at PSG are looking to partner with teams and regions, what's the sort of thinking and strategy around, firstly, why, and then why you pick particular partners such as ourselves or LGD and things like that? I'd love to hear more around sort of the logic and thinking that you guys have built.
Yeah, basically, to be totally honest, it's really, how is, the feeling with the person that I have in front of me. And as we met first time, I think like almost 2 years ago, Sean, it's really about like how he was visioning esports and how he wanted to bring that up to the next level. And that's where we thought that it would be an excellent combination with PSG at this stage. So there is no real, let's say, recipe about doing a good partnership. Just I would say the good moment at the being there at the right time at the end. And yeah, I think that's the first thing. If you share the same vision, the same ideas, that's pretty simple to put something together. And from there, the rest is only detail, and then there is the different things that we need to work out, such as the roster and communication and everything. But when the base is strong, the rest is just a detail.
Yassine, can you share a little bit more about sort of around the choice of games around, let's say, Dota 2 in mainland China and League of Legends within, say, Hong Kong, Taiwan? Just, is there a selection process of what games that you guys focus on? I'd love to hear more about that. Yeah.
Sure. Basically, the strategy is based on how the club expanded into other thematics, I would say, not only football, thanks to the shareholder. We invested a lot into football superstars that gave us the opportunity to touch a new audience and new markets. So it started by having new fans that we needed to engage with. And esports was, the best case on this because it gave us the opportunity to hire teams and players and have local partners on those specific markets that we could basically touch with the new content. And also the fact that at the end, when you're a football club, you have a main team. The team is playing the league and also probably depending the club Champions League or any European competition. And you cannot duplicate the first team. You cannot have the players traveling around or meeting fans. So we needed to bring up something that those fans, especially in Asia, and as we said, Hong Kong, mainland China, and Southeast Asia, could see themselves through esports and through those gamers that we represent. PSG has, PSG Talon is wearing at the end the same jersey as the football team. So really the entire brand diversification strategy that we put esports inside, I would say.
Right, awesome. So I just want to talk about, the next slide is really about the co-branding of PSG Talon. As you can see, when we first started our relationship, we spent a lot of time figuring out how we can sort of merge the two brands together. I must say, from my side, I think PSG have been incredibly open and creative, and also being very humble with us, of allowing us to kind of build this type of logo, right? So you see the Talon bird wrapping around the PSG logo, and obviously there's the esports component around that. But I think this has been really cool for us because whether it's putting it on merchandise or getting our name out there, it's really been a merger of these two relationships and these two organizations. And so I think that's something that's really cool. And I'd also, Yassine, love to ask you a little bit more about sort of, PSG's management's thoughts on kind of working with brands and linking these together, because my personal feeling that PSG is incredibly open to different ideas and building the relationships for the long term and partnerships, which are truly partnerships, right? Not just sticking a logo on a brand and building that out. But can you share a little bit more about sort of the approval process of this logo, and also just what are your thought processes around how you work with partners and the philosophy around building for the long term together? Yeah.
Sure. I would say that first of all, I think that this specific logo has been one of the first one where we did something like combined. Usually we have two logos together and just build them like a cross or line, and this one was the first one that we combined our two logos, and I'm really proud of it because due to the story that we have now with League of Legends, this logo is pretty hard. We saw with the sales in game during the Worlds. The thing is, at this stage, we are really into getting also experience and feedbacks from other partners such as you guys, trying to bring up the PSG brand out of sports and being like lifestyle and more global brand. So we are always open to at least try something. So that's why you will see a lot of things happening into fashion, into pop culture, because we're trying to be as much open as possible. Each case, there is no a best scenario, I would say. It's really each case is different. We have Fabien who's leading the entire brand identification department, which is also having a kind of lifestyle and fashion background. So it helps us to take up each of our partners differently.
Awesome. Yeah, so I just want to show some examples of the opportunities that we have with PSG, both inside the game and outside the game. So just, I mean, if you look at your top, left-hand side as well as your far right-hand side, you can see that the Talon team, it's a combined jersey. So we do use the PSG Talon jersey as our base. And then also we have the Talon branding on that. That also extends to in-game as well, which are basically our competition assets as well. So you can see, for example, the bottom left-hand side, PSG win Worlds 2020 versus R7. Our name is actually PSG Talon inside the game for League of Legends. And also you can see that inside the game, if you look at the bottom section picture in the middle, you can see there's a PSG branding inside the game. There's also icons and logos inside the game. And then also the actual naming inside the game is called PSG. So you can see there's been a full integration of the two brands. Ringo, I just wanted to sort of bring you in and just kind of ask what your thoughts are on when you're talking from the business development side, bringing these two brands together, how has that helped with sort of, driving relationships and driving business development going forward and being able to link these two brands together?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, Talon, we're still a relatively young brand in the grand scheme of things, albeit we've had some great successes, and of course we're well known in the esports world and in Asia in particular, but we're still young. So I think what this partnership, or why this partnership is so important for us from a BD perspective, is because it really helps us build trust and credibility with brands, and in particular with brands or individuals who may not be familiar with esports, but of course they're likely to know PSG, even if they're not necessarily football fans themselves. So I think that's probably first and foremost, and secondly, I think it really helps us differentiate ourselves against our competitors, and I think we'll go into more detail on exactly kind of what that looks like and what we do to differentiate. But ultimately, top line, working with such a big, globally recognized brand, of course, helps us stand out against our competitors and build trust. So it's been, I think it's a fantastic partnership for us to leverage on the partnerships front.
Right. Yeah, I just want to also share a little bit about some of the additional content and marketing side of things that we've had, which I think has been incredibly powerful. As for the World's 2021 Championships this year, we actually had Neymar and Mbappe come out and give us some words of encouragement for the World Championships, which this piece of content kind of blew up in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and I think also on Twitter as well. So I think it's another example of how we're integrating the football club, which is obviously the first club within PSG, and also linking that up with the esports opportunities. And once again, I just want to praise PSG for their openness and willingness to do these type of things, because I think the perfect way that we're starting to sort of converge these two worlds together, and having the professional football players do this with us is also incredibly humbling and also exciting for us as well. So maybe Ringo, I think the next slide we can talk a little bit about sort of the partnership results and the benefits across both sides. But I guess from the PSG side, we can share a little bit more about, with the tournaments that we've attended and things like that. Perhaps you can run through a little bit detail on the numbers here and also explain what they mean and how it's beneficial for both of us here.
Sure, yeah, no, absolutely. So, I think ultimately the first step in any sort of marketing or brand journey is to make sure we're speaking to a captive and an engaged audience, so who can also potentially be our end consumer. And gamers are notoriously difficult to reach through traditional channels, let's say TV or out of home, but do have an extraordinary level of passion and engagement for esports. So thankfully what we've been able to provide and to do with PSG is to become incredibly visible and sort of salient across the gaming world, and of course in particular in League of Legends, and ultimately that's reflected in this data. So probably the headline piece of data there would be around $22 million US of media value. So this would essentially be the equivalent of how much money you need to spend to reach the same amount of people through kind of other advertising means, and then beyond that, over 200 hours of logo exposure, over 6 million engagement, and over 76 million impressions. So I think from what we've been able to do is really to provide a platform for PSG and ourselves to reach a a very engaged and a very passionate audience. But I think probably more importantly, once we reach that audience, once we have their attention, what is our message? So being visible, of course, is just really step one. But I think probably the strength of the partnership is really driven by this shared desire to engage with fans beyond purely just the kind of the football or esports in isolation, which Yassine already kind of touched upon. But we want to engage with them from a much broader cultural and lifestyle perspective. So to connect with them over other passion points like music and art and fashion, and to see our fans holistically, and to really be engaging with them throughout their daily lives, not just in the football moment or in the esports moment. I think that's really the ultimate kind of benefit of this partnership. And in many ways, PSG is a perfect partner to do that because we share the same vision. So I think we've done some of it already, and I think the really exciting part is there's just so much more great opportunities for us to continue and grow into this space together.
Just touching upon the sort of opportunities to grow and develop, Yassine, I think it's worthwhile potentially for us to have a chat about some of the things that we had planned after Worlds this year potentially didn't work out because of COVID, and also going forward with how we can integrate even further into the club. Would you be happy to share some of the additional things, like for example, maybe the team can travel with the football team for summer camps and build content together? But love to hear more about some of those ideas if you're okay with sharing around further integrations on how we're linking kind of League of Legends and football together.
Sure. So I mean, one of the main goals of this partnership is really to have the best out of each of the partner, and one of those is really for you guys as Talon to have access to our knowledge of sports, and also all the activation that we do outside of the pitch, such as the winter tour, the summer tour, and all the workshops that we do at the stadium. So basically, I mean, because of COVID, we could not do those kind of activation, but we also invested at PSG Sports a lot of efforts into content, into having cross. I mean, not only cross content, but I would say more connection between the main team and the esports team. And Talon and PSG Talon is going to be part of this. Hopefully, as soon as COVID let us travel more easily. But for example, one of the plans that we had was to make the League of Legends team coming to Middle East during the winter tour, and having the League of Legends players teaching League of Legends to the main players such as Neymar and Messi and so on. And this could have been something that we could sell to brands and potential partners, and to make sure that we could get also more engagement and nutrition, because it could also touch football fans, which is one of our goals out there. So there is I will not say millions, but many different ways of engaging both the football side and the esports side. But I think step by step we're gonna get there once COVID give us more freedom.
Yeah, thanks, Yassine. So the next area that I kind of want to talk about, which I think is very important, and as Yassine kind of touched upon, with PSG trying to drive into pop culture and being relevant to sort of all those things, is around merchandising. And so for those who don't know, that PSG and Talon, obviously we work collectively throughout the year to build merchandising opportunities across various products and across various brands. And so obviously the main sort of brand that we work with on the performance side is with Nike. You can see, and with Air Jordan, you can see with the jerseys that we've got from last year to this year, we leverage a lot of the traditional football kit for our performance wear, whether we're on stage or training and things like that. But at the same time, we also are developing sort of cultural or streetwear related or fuller projects as one-offs that we're working with to kind of develop, right? And so just on the far left-hand side, you can see an example of the PSG Talon sort of t-shirt that we've created, which is not really a performance outfit, but more of a streetwear item that we've created that allow fans to collect and wear on a more daily basis. In the middle, you've also seen that we've created a mouse pad, which is the Soar with PSG Talon, which is the slogan that we use a lot throughout the year as a similar thing. And then lastly, on the far right-hand side, you can see from the sort of work with Nike and during Worlds last year, creating a limited edition t-shirt around sort of victory and the PSG Talon and Nike brands being brought together. So just touching upon this, Yassine and Ringo, love to get your thoughts on this. But Yassine, firstly from your side, like love to hear like the strategy from Fabien around, you know, what PSG has been doing about integrating sort of pop culture and working with like celebrities and art and music and sort of the thinking and strategy around that and how that's helped kind of drive, I guess, the PSG brand further globally.
As I said earlier, it's really part of the brand diversification strategy, and thanks to Fabien and his knowledge on like fashion. So we've been able to partner up with brands such as Dior, Jordan, and so many other ones that I would not even know sometimes. But basically, it's really part of the fact that we want to touch more and more people, be a global brand, make sure that, you know, it's cool to wear a PSG thing, no matter how it looks, and especially at the end, not doing only football jersey. So I don't know if in Hong Kong people wears, you know, PSG jersey or not, but if not jersey, it must be like, you know, a collaboration with one of the fashion brands, such as Faye, also that we've done like a few years ago right now. So the strategy is really touch more and more people, no matter the background, if they like football or not at the end.
Cool. And Ringo, just what are your thoughts on sort of, I guess, as you're having conversations with brands out there, the relevance of, I mean, esports teams and sports teams kind of branding into this, you know, streetwear and cultural relevance and being able to kind of communicate with different ways besides from just say the team and the content that's being produced there.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I think, you know, with teams and kind of competitions, there's obviously a huge kind of media element involved with partnerships and sponsorships, both in traditional sports and esports. But, you know, when we start to talk about connecting with fans over kind of culture or passion points and really engaging with them, I think that's probably where the real strength is, because you're really building a genuine relationship with the end consumer. And, you know, of course, in marketing, we have to somehow segment people, otherwise it'd just be a crazy mess. But ultimately, you know, gamers, they don't just exist as a gamer. You know, they also love music, art, fashion. They all have all these other passion points. So, you know, for us, I think at Talon, there's a super opportunity for us to really kind of connect the dots in that sense. I mean, I think abroad or in other parts of the world, we are seeing other kind of gaming organizations maybe do the same and move in a similar direction. And, you know, when you see League of Legends, they've got their virtual girl band, they have their Netflix show, which is absolutely amazing. You know, I think it's a general consensus that this is the right way to go. I think what's perhaps a little bit for us, and, you know, what's more difficult about in Asia, it's of course Asia is such a huge market. It's so diverse, and so, you know, it's definitely a challenge to make sure that you're hitting all the cultural touch points across, you know, region as big and as diverse as Asia. But, you know, if someone can do that, then I think certainly for brands that's a huge opportunities, and hopefully we can do that, and then, you know, our partners will kind of feel the benefit of that as well.
Cool, great. Okay, so the next point I wanted to just touch upon is another extension of our partnership with PSG, is that we actively work with them on business corporations and opportunities to develop sort of leverage the sort of PSG brand and the network and the opportunities there, and look for ways that we can generate revenue across both sides of things. So Ringo, I probably would love for you to hear more about this, but how have you sort of seen this, and then also, like, can you share a little bit more about sort of working with the PSG business development teams and how that's been really beneficial for, you know, getting the PSG Talon brand out there, not only, you know, in Asia but also globally.
Yeah, no, exactly that. So, I mean, I guess there's two levels. So one level, it's you know, us at Talon being able to leverage on PSG's resources. So, you know, whether that's their network, their experience, their knowledge, their tools. Certainly that's one element, but I think probably more importantly, it's kind of the benefit that this partnership can actually deliver to our partners. Of course, you know, for partners, if they have the opportunity to lean on this incredibly, you know, powerful PSG brand, their IPs, their assets, alongside our own, then that's obviously a big benefit for them. I think we're very complementary in many ways. We can, PSG certainly, of course, can provide many things that we can't, and probably vice versa as well. So we both have our strengths and to bring that together. And you kind of touched upon it. We're very much, Asia focused, APAC focused. Our teams are in kind of Korea, in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Southeast Asia. But really, with what we have with PSG is really this strong global network that we can use. So depending on who we're speaking to, if that's really something that is important to them, then that's something that we know that we can turn to PSG to leverage. So yeah, I mean, it's great in so many ways, and one for us, but more importantly for the partners.
Yeah. Yassine, could you share a little bit more about sort of, I guess, how, with the various offices in Singapore and Shanghai and Paris are helping with, both LGD, us, and all the other teams that you guys are building, and sort of the infrastructure and how you're supporting on the business development side? Yeah.
Sure. Basically, as our main HQ is in Paris, we also have a few offices around the world. One in Singapore, one in Shanghai, and basically on those different offices, as esports is particular and important asset also, we're starting having people involved on different point of view. One is media, one is communication, and the most important one is business development. So we do have somebody from the sponsorship team, which is recurrent to the partners, to help on the decks, to help also pitch some of the actual sponsors at the club. We got an example, for example, American Express used to be one of the sponsors of the football side, and now they became sponsor of the FIFA division. And we slowly getting somewhere where the next, let's say, negotiation around some partners of the club will also be important for the esports divisions, because it's going to be part of the entire deal. So with the help of the different sides, I would say, at the end we're able to cover both sides, the one that are already on the football side and that are interested into esports, and from the partner side, such as you guys or LGD, get into the endemic one that are already in esports, and also non-endemic, of course, but mainly endemic, I would say, such as arrows here on the slide. The goal at the end is really to be able to have something that makes sense, because we do have different partners, and make sure that we don't have any conflict with any of the actual sponsors or future sponsors, depending on which market and which team they sponsor. Yeah, that's how we get there.
Cool. And then on the last side, I just want to the last cooperation pillar that we work with PSG is definitely on the business and the performance side. And so this is something that I think Yassine and I really connected on at the start, was how do we leverage information and knowledge from traditional sport and apply it into esports. And so obviously PSG has been around for decades and have run successful football clubs for multiple years, whereas esports, I generally feel, is still relatively new. And so there's a lot of knowledge transfer that's happening here. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to do it because of the COVID travel restrictions, but the end goal is actually have the PSG and the Talon performance teams come together once or twice a year and start talking about how we can leverage a lot from each other, and also mainly from the traditional sport around sleep, nutrition, fitness, recovery, and leverage those knowledge pieces and apply them into sort of the gaming side. So Yassine, love to hear more about what your sort of philosophies and thoughts around that, and how we can start merging these two, because there's a lot to learn from esports, has a lot to learn from traditional sports, and I think having that is incredibly powerful. Yeah.
Exactly. So the idea behind this is really to connect both performance team from the esports with the football one, and on the football side being able to share on the methodology of coaching, on nutrition, and all the different and relevant approach to being more performant as a player, no matter which discipline you play. The thing is, we have a different bunch of academies on the football side all around the world. I think we even have one in Hong Kong, if I'm not wrong. due to COVID, we weren't able to bring over the Talon team yet. I think once we will be able to do that, it will be very interesting to see what will be the benefit out of it, especially having like experience from traditional sports into esports haven't really been proved, I would say. There is a bunch of different aspect of it, so we still need to also I would say try this and make sure that it's relevant for esports, but we think that there is a lot of similitude, so we are pretty confident about what we will bring on the table and make sure that our teams perform better with the PSG methodology and ideology. I don't know if you want to add more, Sean, and what you think about this one specifically, but I'm really excited to make it start actually.
Yeah, I think this year we can say that we are planning a number of things with some fitness partners and along with you guys around some ideas we can implement into the League of Legends team. I agree with you. I think there's a lot of learnings and we need to see certain things will work and certain things won't work because obviously the fitness demand is very different, right? Like the physical demand is quite different, but also there are also a lot of similarities around managing stress and load, and also there are still injuries and recoveries that we have in esports as well. So it'll be interesting to see what components, and I think we're super excited to grow with you guys to figure that out. So yeah, I think we're running out of time, but so just want to thank Yassine and Ringo obviously for jumping in today and sharing their knowledge. Is incredibly great, and obviously everyone here for listening in, and I guess we have some time for Q&A, I assume, so happy to take any questions from the crowd or from those that are online, and happy to support those. Yeah, thanks. Okay, so I guess the first question may be both for Ringo and Yassine, given you guys both come from traditional sports spaces. Quite a broad question, but I think it's quite interesting to see how do you see the potential in sports and esports? I guess, how do you see these two things linking together from you? I know we've discussed a little bit about it, but like, let's say moving into the future in 5 to 10 years time, how do you guys see these two fields kind of combining together? Yeah.
You want to start, Ringo? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, sure. I think, if I go back to when I was working in traditional sports, I think it's, and kind of Yassine's touched upon it already, it's very much a funnel, and, as with every kind of, marketing journey, ultimately we're trying to, or traditional sports teams are looking at the gaming world to capture fans. I mean, I think that's the end goal, right, of what most sports teams are trying to do, and increasingly young people are spending time on gaming and kind of in virtual spaces and esports. So you've got to go to where they are, right? If you want to really kind of win them over, you've got to deliver some sort of value to them in their own space first, and before then really kind of maybe introducing them to something else that's new. So in this case, it could be football. So certainly that's one way, and then of course it's the same. It's the same both ways. So recently we had Ronaldo appearing in Free Fire. We're seeing lots of celebrities appearing in different games now. We have Ariana Grande concerts in Fortnite. So it goes both the same both ways, and ultimately it's a bit of a funnel. But again, they don't have to exist in isolation. I think we all know plenty of gamers who love sports, and we know lots of sports people who also love gaming. So I think that's a really cool thing of what we're trying to do together here as well, is that we're trying to connect these worlds together, and it's pretty exciting.
Just to add on top of what you just said, I think that there is already a lot of significant moves, like from either traditional sport IPs, opening esports divisions such as like PSG and other European football clubs, but also on the investment side, like you got a lot of different ventures, investing in traditional esports organizations that are basically backed by, NBA franchise owners or even European football clubs. So we're slowly getting there, because basically sports fans are getting older and older. The kids, following more and more influencers, professional gamers. So they have to basically be on the hype, which is esports and everything digital, I would say, today. So, yeah.
Cool. And I think the last question for today, which I'm happy to answer, is will Talon consider branding opportunities / commercial activities for non-esports field? Yeah, I mean, obviously for PSG, Talon League of Legends team, it's partnered with PSG, but then across some of our other teams, particularly in Thailand, we are working with the telco there with some of the branding opportunities. So generally I would say it's pretty open. I think brands are generally open across all categories, and there's definitely opportunities to cross-pollinate across all of these. So that's what's really exciting about this space. So I think we're up for time there. So I just want to once again thank everyone. Thank you, Yassine. Thank you, Ringo. And thank everyone here. And also thank you, Cyberport, for organizing Delphi and having us chat here today. And of course, if there's any other additional questions, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to kind of answer and chat further. But thank you very much for the time today, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.